Hello students, today our topic is floods and droughts. We all know a flood is an event in which the volume of water and the flood crest is much above average. A drought is a series of years in which rainfall is significantly below average. Floods and droughts are considered as hazards or calamities as they can adversely affect lives and property. So floods are due to heavy rains caused in the low-lying coastal areas or prolonged downpour which causes the overflowing of lakes and rivers. Water gets accumulated in the coastal areas which results in floods. So excess inflow is nothing but a flood. The occurrence of floods can be due to both natural and human causes. As the human causes are well known, deforestation, clearing of the forests, urban development, enhanced greenhouse effect. All these are the human causes for floods, whereas excessive rainfall, storm surging, melting of snow, global atmospheric process like El Nino and La Nino, movements of the earth's surface also result in natural causes for floods. As we all know the effects of floods, there is a loss of lives, lot of damage to the property and infrastructure. Vector-borne diseases or bacterial diseases may spread, and it also causes damage to the environment like agriculture. How to reduce the impact of floods? Building artificial levees or dikes like artificial wall that blocks water, construction of dams, watershed management, flood insurance, through continuous monitoring and education of the coastal areas or the low-lying areas where the people are living. Post-flood management measures also should be taken in order to reduce the impact of floods. So, what are droughts? Droughts set in when a particular region goes without rain for a long period of time. When annual rainfall is below normal and less than evaporation, soil will continuously lose groundwater by process of evaporation and transpiration through plants. Since this water is not brought back to the earth in the form of rains, that means continuous water cycle is not maintained properly, the soil becomes very dry. As you can see in the diagram, there are cracks and breaks in between the soil surface. Groundwater becomes scarce and this leads to droughts. Even the groundwater level also decreases, there is no rainfall. So, drought can be summarized as delayed rain or insufficient rainfall. There are different causes for the droughts as it was for the floods. Natural causes are delayed rain or insufficient rainfall and global atmospheric process, which we'll discuss after a few slides. Human causes again deforestation or reduction in the forest car, overuse of water, overgrazing, mining and enhanced greenhouse effects. Delayed rain or insufficient rainfall occurs mainly in arid or semi-arid regions and in tropical monsoon regions when monsoon winds that bring rain are delayed. So, I am discussing about global atmospheric process in the past slides. There are two phenomena called El Nino, La Nina. What is this El Nino and La Nina? So, the present slide shows three conditions: normal condition, El Nino condition, and La Nina condition. Let us discuss first about normal condition. In normal condition, in the slide you are watching South American region and Australian coast, where this South American region is Eastern Pacific region, whereas the Australian coast is Western Pacific region, and this is Pacific Ocean. In between Eastern Pacific Ocean and Western Pacific Ocean, there is Central Pacific Ocean. Since these two regions lie just below the equator, the water present here in this region will be warm. So, the trade winds which are flowing from These are the arrows of the trade winds which are flowing from eastern Pacific to the western Pacific. Along with the trade winds, the warm water also moved towards the Australian coast region. So when the warm water is moving more towards the Australian coast region, the cold water which is present here will move upwards. So the warm water gets accumulates near the Australian coast, that is western Pacific region, and then the warm water will evaporate, they condense, and it leads to rainfall. So in normal conditions, Australia receives, that is western coast of Australia receives more rainfall. This water vapor rises to the troposphere, and a jet stream of waves also causes rain near the Peruvian coast. A cell is created like this and it is called Walker circulation cell. Then what is El Nino condition? In El Nino condition, when the water accumulated here causes rainfall for the Australian coast, the strength of the trade winds which are flowing towards Australian region decreases. Therefore, the warm water again flows back to the South American region. Again I am repeating, the strength of the trade winds which are moving from American coast to the Australian coast decreases, and the warm water will move from Australian coast to the South American coast, that is Peruvian coast. Therefore, the warm water gets accumulated near Peru of South America. This warm water evaporates and then it causes heavy rainfall to the South American region. At these conditions, the Australia, at the same time India, receives no rainfall and drought appears in the Australian region. This is called El Nino condition. So this is a continuous process. El Nino is a very frequent when compared to La Nino. Now this generally happens in the southern hemisphere, so it is called southern oscillation. La Nino is just similar to the normal conditions which I have seen in the earlier slide. So what is the damage to the environment? Prolonged droughts can cause desertification in arid and semi-arid regions, making the ground dry and barren. Forest fires and haze also affects. Prolonged droughts cause vegetation in the forest to become very dry. Vegetation thus catches fire easily. How to reduce the impact of droughts? Management of watershed and agricultural practices, using proper irrigation techniques and dripping culture. Instead of pouring more and water to the fields, you can use all the irrigation techniques which can reduce water usage. Cloud seeding, which is a type of weather modification that aims to charge the amount or type of precipitation that falls from clouds. The forced precipitation, like post-drought management measures also should be taken care. So what is a watershed? Every water body has a watershed. The watershed is the area of land that drains or sheds water into a specific receiving water body, such as a lake or a river. As rainwater or melted snow runs down the hill into the watershed collects and transports sediment and other materials and deposits them in the receiving water body. What is a watershed management? Watershed management is a term used to describe the process of implementing land use practices and water management practices to protect and improve the quality of water. So this is watershed management. Not only water but also other natural resources within a watershed by managing the use of those land and water resources in comprehensive manner. The main goal of watershed management is to implement the sustainable management of natural resources to improve the quality of living for population. So what are the remedial measures for drought? Selecting mixed cropping so that it can minimize the risk of crop failure. Social forestry and wasteland development, that is to cultivate or to grow trees in wastelands. Indigenous knowledge in control of drought and desertification. But when you're going for social forestry, care should be taken that the proper selection of plants so that it may not reduce the groundwater level. A very good example of Kolar district of Karnataka, which is a leader in social forestry with the help of World Bank, but they cultivated eucalyptus trees in all the wastelands. So those trees have decreased the groundwater table. So all the 11 villages suffered drought. So this is about floods and droughts. Thank you.